I own every single gun in Roblox Rivals, and today I'm telling you what your least favorite secondary in Rivals says about you. So be sure to watch until the end to see what your least favorite says about you. And I'm doing a giveaway for 70,000 subscribers. I'm giving away a legendary key bundle and a skin case 3. If you want to enter the giveaway, all you have to do is like, subscribe, watch to the end of the video, and don't click off because I can see if you actually watch to the end or not, so stay tuned to the end. And also comment your Roblox username and which one of the two you want. And without further ado, let's get on with these secondaries. First up, we have the Revolver. If your least favorite gun is the Revolver, then there's probably something seriously wrong with you because this is like almost everyone's favorite secondary. I guess you like to be a little bit different from everybody else, but maybe there's a part of you that just hates like good guns for some reason. You don't like the meta, basically. You might hate this gun like specifically because you get killed by it a lot and that's why you hate it. Either that or maybe you're just a noob and you don't even have the Revolver, which is kind of sad, but I understand, I guess. The Revolver is a pretty good gun, and you probably hate like cowboys and westerns if you hate the Revolver because yeah, the Revolver, it's let's just say it's a classic, you know. The Revolver's been around for years and years and years. It was the original handgun, so maybe you like modern guns. Maybe that's your problem. I don't know. You might also have some kind of poor aim because it is semi-automatic and you have to have decent aim for this thing to work. So you prefer guns like the Uzi or the energy pistols, for example. If your least favorite secondary is the Slingshot, you probably find the bounce mechanic on this pretty annoying. You also probably think that like this secondary was like ruined with the recent nerfs to it, to where the hitboxes were changed. So it's a little harder to hit your shots with the Slingshot now, and you hate that about it. You also hate how fast you run out of the slingy balls. I don't know what to call them. You're also probably not a fan of Slingshot Boy. You probably you think he's like overrated or something, which is a little bit strange. Yeah, you're probably pretty disappointed with how the Slingshot used to be super good and now it like kind of fell from grace and it's just not as good as it used to be, which I guess is kind of understandable, but I think the Slingshot is overall still a really good secondary. So if this is your least favorite secondary, then you're kind of missing out. You're also probably not really a big fan of projectile weapons, which that's what the Slingshot is, so I guess that's kind of understandable in a way. You probably also hate like the bow, for example. If your least favorite secondary is the Uzi, you probably hate like mob bosses because a lot of like mob bosses use the Uzi. You probably also hate how kind of low the damage is. I know the damage isn't the best on the Uzi, especially for an automatic weapon, but maybe you prefer semi-automatic secondaries like the Revolver, for example, which is also understandable. You also probably don't like the sniper by chance because the Uzi is paired really well with the sniper since the Uzi is, you know, an automatic weapon. It pairs really well with semi-automatic weapons like the Uzi or the bow or the crossbow, for example, so you probably don't like any of those guns as your primary. I'm also assuming if your least favorite secondary is the Uzi, you probably just started the game, if I had to imagine, because a lot of new players actually have the Uzi. Usually it's like people's first secondary that they buy, which kind of makes sense. Either that or the Revolver. If this is your least favorite secondary, then you're probably unskilled. If your least favorite secondary is the energy pistols, you probably bought the energy bundle and you're kind of disappointed with the way these guns turned out. You're definitely not a spammy type player. You definitely prefer like semi-automatic weapons, again, kind of like the sniper. And the energy pistols are overall not that great for you because you also don't like the somewhat low damage that these have. The energy pistols, in my opinion, are one of the best secondaries in the game, so you're probably kind of weird if you don't like these, I can't lie. Which I don't really understand you if this is like your least favorite secondary, because the unlimited ammo is pretty OP in my opinion. Maybe you like a slower paced gameplay if this is your least favorite secondary, because the energy pistols are pretty fast, so maybe you like slower guns, which is also kind of understandable maybe if you don't like to sweat, because I can see this secondary being a sweat gun. But maybe this is your least favorite secondary because you find it annoying to play against, which is super valid. It's always hard to try to play against energy pistols, especially since it has unlimited ammo, and that makes sense to me personally. But I think these are super good secondaries, and I don't really know why you would hate these, but to each their own, I guess. Next up, we have the Exo Gun. If the Exo Gun is your least favorite secondary, then you probably have pretty good aim, because a lot of people that like the Exo Gun only really like it for the splash damage. Now, to be fair, I understand it if you don't like the Exo Gun. I'm kind of in the minority in the fact that I don't like the Exo Gun personally. I wouldn't say it's my least favorite secondary, but I think there's definitely better options out there because the Exo Gun actually does not great damage. Don't get me wrong, the splash damage is nice, but that doesn't really come in handy very often. I mean, just hit your shots, it's that easy. Also, also hate how little ammo the Exo Gun has, and that's probably another thing you don't like about it. 6 shots is not enough, especially when you do 20 damage max and 10 minimum. It's just not a great experience personally. Now, I will say it is a pretty cool secondary. I do like that about the Exo Gun, but other than that, aside from the cool factor, it's really not the best secondary in the game in my opinion. I don't think it's great, but there is worse options out there, and I personally think that the spray is better. So if you hate the Exo Gun, then you probably like the spray better, and you think it's overall a much better option compared to the Exo Gun, because the spray actually has a lot of the benefits as the Exo Gun, but with more damage. For example, the Exo Gun goes through both shields and katanas, and the spray does the exact same thing. So in my opinion, the spray is basically just a better Exo Gun, and that's what you hate about the Exo Gun. You can literally just get the spray for free and it does the exact same thing, which is understandable. Next up, we have the spray. If your least favorite secondary is the spray, then I'm assuming you like the Exo Gun better. Yeah, you like the Exo Gun better because you like the splash damage on it, and it's kind of hard to hit your shots with the spray. The thing about the spray is that, like, it's also a burst gun, and you probably don't like burst fire, and you probably prefer automatic, which is understandable. So if you hate the spray, you probably like the Uzi, for example, or the energy pistols. If you hate the spray, then you're also probably like a katana and a riot shield user, and maybe you hate the spray because you hate being countered by the spray. You like to use your katana and your riot shield, you know, and that's what you hate about the spray, is that, like, it's the only thing that counters your defense pretty much. Now the spray, in my opinion, is like definitely a good secondary. I think there's better out there. If you hate the spray, then you probably know that there's better options out there, and this thing's kind of middle of the road, but it's good for what it does in my opinion, and you probably don't realize that. Overall, the spray's not too bad, but if this is your least favorite secondary, then it's a little weird, but I guess I kind of get it at the same time. Next up, we have the Shorty. If your least favorite secondary is the Shorty, you probably hate how you only have 4 reserve bullets. I can also assume you probably hate close range play and you prefer long range combat. So you probably like guns like the assault rifle and the sniper rifle a lot better. And you hate how you have to be basically right in somebody's face to be able to get a kill with this thing, which is also understandable. You also probably hate the normal shotgun, for example, as the primary. You think that the Shorty could be a lot better if it just had more bullets, and that's also understandable. I think you only get like 3 or 4 reloads with this thing, and that's not fun at all. You also probably hate how literally if you're only like 2 feet away from them, like if you're not close to them at all, you're better off just like throwing a rock at them, and that does more damage at that point, like really. The Shorty, in my opinion, is definitely not the best secondary in the game. It has its good use cases, but that doesn't really happen very often. Like for example, if you're playing on like back rooms or maybe even arena, this thing can somewhat work, but it's overall just not the best. Like I said, if you're any more than like 5 feet away from them, bro, you're just better off throwing pebbles at them at that point. It's not even that good, bro. It's not that good. Next up, we have the flare gun. If your least favorite secondary is the flare gun, then you prefer your secondary to be an actual gun and not like a flamethrower, like basically a miniature flamethrower. Or I should say a miniature Molotov. If you don't like the flare gun, you probably hate the Molotov and the flare gun. You want to actually kill people with bullets and not fire, because that's the whole point of playing an FPS game. You're supposed to shoot people, not burn people. Now, I think the flare gun, it's for what it does, it's not bad, but you have to use it correctly. You have to pair it with a very good primary, and I'm just not really a fan of that personally. It's also pretty annoying to play against, like I said. If you hate the flare gun, there's probably a chance that you hate playing against it, and that's why you don't like it, because it is pretty annoying to play against, I can't lie. Like, especially when you're playing against like multiple people and they're all using the flare gun and everyone's just like spamming fire at you. It gets pretty annoying pretty fast. So if your least favorite gun is the flare gun, I completely understand why. It's just a weird secondary. Next up, we have the handgun. If your least favorite secondary is the handgun, you definitely didn't just start the game. You don't like how little damage this thing does, and that's also pretty understandable because the damage on this thing is not the best. It does have decent fire rate though if you can tap that fast, and maybe that's another thing you don't like about it. You just can't tap fast enough to make this thing work right for you. It is the starter gun, and maybe you just don't like to use the starter weapons in the game. I know there's definitely better options out there than the handgun. I think there's worse though, especially after they buffed the handgun recently. It's not terrible, terrible, but it's not the best either. You have to be somewhat accurate too, so maybe your aim's not that great. Since it is semi-automatic, you have to kind of be more in tune with your aim. There's definitely options out there that do way more damage, and that's what you don't like about the handgun. It's really just not the best gun overall, but it's really not the worst. There's definitely better options out there, and that's why you hate the handgun. You'd rather use like the Uzi or like the Revolver, for example. And you probably think that like the Revolver is basically just the handgun but better, and in that sense you're kind of right, because the Revolver does just so much more damage than the handgun, even if you have less bullets. Next up, we have the Daggers. If your least favorite secondary is the Daggers, you probably don't really care for its movement aspect. You like to play a little slower. You also probably hate the projectile of the Daggers. You like your bullets to go where you aim. You don't like to have to aim ahead of the enemy to be able to hit them. So I can also assume you probably hate guns like the bow. The Daggers is basically just the bow, but secondary. It's hard to use the Daggers because, like I said, you have to kind of aim ahead of the enemy to kind of get it to work, which is one thing that I do hate about the Daggers. Now, the Daggers used to be a lot better before they nerfed the movement, so maybe you're upset that they nerfed these things a while back and they just haven't been the same since. So maybe that's one reason you hate the Daggers. Maybe you liked them previously before they got nerfed. The only really redeeming quality of the Daggers, in my opinion, is definitely the double jump. These things used to be so much better back in the day. So if your least favorite secondary is the Daggers, that's completely understandable. If you want to see more Rivals videos just like this, then be sure to drop a like and subscribe, and comment your Roblox username and either the legendary key bundle or the skin case 3, whichever one you want, and I'll see you guys on the next video.